what's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Luca, your Italian player, and today we're gonna take a look at three different guitars, but same guitars. We're talking about Gibson Les Paul Studio. There's a little bit of confusion because it's confused, like the lineup, it's not really clear, so I'm here today trying to make things clearer for all of you that are interested in this type of guitars, because I think they are worth our attention as guitar players. First of all, I want to say that this video is made in collaboration with strumentimusicali.net. That's the store that I'm working with, but this video is not sponsored by Gibson, so I can say pretty much whatever I want, all right? But I want to clarify that these three guitars are cool guitars. But there are a few things that I think need to be addressed. So let's start with this gorgeous one, okay? I think it looks really beautiful. And this is the most affordable one of the three that we have today, okay? This is the new Les Paul Studio, as Gibson will say, the one. And I think I understand why they would say that, because you have all the good stuff that's, important in a Les Paul type of guitar without complicated stuff or anything. It's a pretty simple and straightforward guitar. We have two Bassbacker Pro pickups with the coil tap knobs here and nothing else. So the two volumes, the two tone, we have a nice rosewood fretboard here with the binding, okay, and fret nibs, and this thing, made the guitar feels more premium, okay, than the previous iterations of Les Paul Studio. Because if I'm looking at the guitar just here, it looks to me like a Les Paul standard, okay. We don't have the binding on the body, we have the mahogany body and the maple top, plain maple top, but still, who really does care, I think it's enough flame if you see like that, right? It's not that bad. Am I right? So this guitar, it's not that expensive if you consider that this is a USA made guitar, Gibson USA made guitar. It's not that expensive at all compared to other manufacturers that, also compared to Epiphone, that right now, the Epiphone inspired by Gibson, they're pretty much in the same ballpark, I would say. So, it's a tough battle in this price range. And let me tell you that this guitar, to me, is absolutely fine, okay? I don't have any complaint to make about anything, actually. It's a really honest guitar. It's a nice sounding, maybe a little bit bright, but and this was the bridge pickup, the neck pickup. I'm playing through my quad cortex with the Soldano SLO plugin inside, the compatibility thing that they did. Sounds pretty cool, actually, I have to say. I like these tones. If you want to explore more of the tones that I have my store in the description down below if you want to check out some presets that I did. This is not available, of course, because it's a plugin and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, middle position. Okay, and then we can, of course, coil tap this pickup. So this is the full humbucker. Coil tap. Okay, not bad, I'd say. And the coil tap also on the neck. This is the full humbucker. And this is the tap version. Doesn't sound like a Strat, of course, but you know, it's a nice added flavor. I'm not really into coil tap and stuff like that. For me, you know, Les Paul, it's fine with just 3 tones, and I probably would forget about that possibility. But you know, if you're into that, it's available. All right. What else to say? Well, we have the 50s style tuners machine here. We have, you know, this gold Gibson logo. We don't have, unfortunately, the mother of pearl Gibson logo that we have on the other two. You know, that feels a little bit more premium. But again, slim taper neck, 12 inches fretboard radius. Sounds really cool. Let me show you how this guitar sounds with a more crunchy type of tone. Okay, doesn't sound bad at all. Sorry for my improvised riff stuff, a little bit messy. And then this is the lead tone. Alright, so later on I will compare these pickups to the other two, but so far I would say these are nice crisp pickups. The guitar doesn't sound like muffled or anything like that. It's pretty lightweight because of the ultra modern weight relief, so there's nothing not to like. I'm pretty happy with this guitar, and I think Gibson made a really nice job. Okay, then I want to talk to you about the second guitar, and you know, this is a guitar that to me it's a little bit controversial, and this is the Modern Studio, and it doesn't feel modern at all, actually. Actually, this one I thought was the Les Paul Studio, because, you know, when I opened all the big packages and stuff like that, then I took out all the gig bags, you know. All of these 3 guitars come with a gig bag like this one. Pretty nice one, so you don't have, you know, the Gibson hard shell cover. I know that hard shell case, I'm sorry. I know that many of you would like that, but you know, it's pretty convenient. The gig bag, it's not bad, and these Gibson gig bags are really, really premium, really well made. However, when I took all of these guitars out and I forgot, you know, the finishes that I ordered from the store, I thought this was the more affordable one, the cheaper one. Actually, I was really, really wrong, because this is the Modern Studio and it's pretty much the same price as the Studio Session. And you know, it's not uber expensive, but still, you know, few $100 more than the normal Studio. And honestly, I don't really feel that price gap in this guitar. First of all, the satin finish is something that you have to like, and this is definitely, like, the feel is way more raw. But there's one thing that bothers me a lot, and that's the frets here are not that good. I mean, they're definitely a little bit scratchy, and it's something that, to me, it's not really acceptable in a US made guitar in this price range. I mean, I know you can bring this guitar to your favorite luthier and, you know, guitar tech, and they can, you know, do a pretty nice fret job and everything, you know, it's fine. But still, it's something that I have to tell, because it's not really great. While I was like enthusiastic about, you know, the binding and the fret nibs of the Les Paul Studio, like why this one doesn't have it, you know. This one has a binding, it's a black one, but doesn't have the fret nibs. So, you know, it's a little bit, why? I don't know. Anyway, what are the upgrades, if we can call these, you know, upgrades? We have these heel carve here. It's, you know, they grant you a little bit easier access to upper frets. It's not night and day, by the way, but, you know, it's okay. This is the only modern feature I think that this guitar has, apart from the, I don't know, maybe the look, the black chrome look, that it's cool. We have, okay, the compound radius, 10 to 14, I guess. The mother of pearl inlays we've discussed before, the Grover tuners, but it doesn't feel like that modern to me. Let me tune up the guitar. Okay. So the pickups here are the 498T and the 490R. Same pickups that I have on my Les Paul Custom. They're definitely more mid-rangey and they have less high end. So it's a more kind of a traditional Les Paul Studio type of tone. If I remember correctly, you know, the last Les Paul Studio that I've tried before, you know, this whole release, they had these pickups. I know that many people don't like these pickups, but they're not bad, actually. It's more... They are more familiar to me. They are more like the Les Paul pickups, you know, that you would find easily on Les Paul, that at least, you know, people my age, and maybe many people would, you know, swap them for other ones, but there's something about it that, you know, it's home, like, you know, it's a bit like home for me. And I'm sorry to have to tell you about these frets things, you know, because the guitar feels really comfortable to play, really nice. Maybe it's because also the compound fretboard, or, you know, the satin finish makes this guitar like, feels a little bit more like broken in. So it's, I don't know, it feels less intimidating to play, if we can say so. Okay, you can definitely, I think, you can feel, right? You can hear it's more like warm. It's more jazzier even, you know, even if, you know, it doesn't look like that, but let me try some crunchy tones. Okay, neck pickup. Definitely more warm, okay? This is the warmer ones. This is the warmer of the three. Warmest of the three. The warmest of the three. It's the warmest of the three. Sorry, sometimes my English is really bad. Anyway, so this guitar has also a more complicated electronics that, you know, I have a mixed feeling about it. It's the same electronic that you can find on Gibson Les Paul Modern and Gibson Les Paul Supreme. So we have the coil tap here. If we, go back to the clean tone again, full humbucker, and this is the coil tap version. Then full humbucker neck position, coil tap. I don't really dig the coil tap version of the 490R, but it's a matter of preferences. It's a little bit like darker, I don't know, something that not really pleasant to my ears. Then we have the out of phase switch in the middle position to get that quacky type of tone. And then we have the full bypass switch, the pure bypass switch here, that give you also a little bit of a boost if you can, if you can tell that it's like a tiny bit, because actually it bypasses all the electronics, all the resistor loads and stuff. I don't really understand why, but this is not like super pure bypass, because yeah, it bypasses the electronic, but if you are into the coil tap position, it stays tap, okay? It doesn't get you back to the full humbucker mode. So what this does, basically, if you, for example, let's put, a more distorted type of tone, like this one. If I roll off the volume, I will have less gain. So for example, if I'm playing, and then I want to go straight into more of a lead territoire, I will do this. And then again. Okay, it's like a preset, something like that. It's something that you can also obtain just rolling, the volume. So it's not, to me, it's not a game changer. You can also, of course, do more complicated stuff, like it's a combination that I really like, with middle position and tones and stuff, and then boom, I'm going straight to the humbucker. To me, it's not that useful, but that's me. If there's anyone that used this feature, please let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm really curious about that, and maybe, it will inspire me to, try to use this configuration as well, even if actually I have to send this guitar back. So, but if I will have one, with this feature, maybe I can try that. Anyway, so we have to listen also to the lead tones. Sorry if the guitar goes out of tune, but in Italy the weather changed like suddenly, so we had like 10 degrees until like a few days ago, and now it's 30. It's just crazy. Anyway, this one is a nice guitar. To me, it's a little bit too expensive for what you get, especially compared to the other two guitars that I'm gonna show to you. It has a more warm type of vibe, type of tone, that definitely some people will appreciate. And also you have to be into, you know, these satin finish stuff that maybe it's not for everyone. All right, but let me show you the last guitar of today that I was pretty curious to try. And this is the beautiful, gorgeous, I'd say, Les Paul Studio Session, the last studio model that actually came out, and I really like this guitar. They should have the same price of the modern studio, but to me this guitar feels way more premium. All right, it also have, you know, the neck carve here, sorry, the heel carve, the heel joint, I don't know how to say that. Same construction. We have again the 12 inches radius as the studio, the normal one. But oh, maybe I forgot, the modern studio and this one, they share ebony fretboard, while you have rosewood fretboard on the normal studio. Okay, again, of course, we have the binding with the nibs. We have Grover tuners here, and then same configuration, same electronics as we already discussed before, with the 2-coil tap, the pure bypass switch and the out of phase switch. But we have 57 Classic and 57 Classic Plus pickups that actually I think they are my favorite of the lot, because they are pretty balanced. They're not as bright as the Burstbacker Pro, but they still are like warm in a, you know, nice fashion. They're more similar to the Les Paul Studio one, to the, you know, the all three. All of these guitars are studio, but you know, the first one that I've talked to you about. But to me, these are definitely warmer. Okay, this guitar feels really, really nice. I mean, at least to my taste, I really enjoy this guitar. Feels smooth, it feels nice. I resonate with this guitar a lot. Coil tap versions. This is the full humbucker. This really tap. Almost like telly kind of tone. And then the neck pickup. Again, I'm really a bit disappointed on the coil tap version of these of these tones, but I think, if I remember correctly, if I'm tapping these and I'm also use the out of phase, I should get a different type of tone. Am I right? Yes. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, they would change, you know, the bobbins that will be used. So you have another, you know, variation of tone. But again, anyway, the out of phase switch. You know, again, that type of tone. Of course, you can. If this is too much for you, you can just like roll the volume down of one of the two pickups, and you you have infinite variations of this, okay, type of tone. If you're a guitar player that are really into, playing with controls and stuff, that can be fun. Last thing, the pure bypass switch again. For example, again. Okay, same stuff. If the pickup is coil tap, like this, still coil tap. Okay, so it's a pure bypass, but it's, almost. I know that the pickup is like that, so if it's wired in that way, maybe there's nothing you can do about it, but just so you know that if in your mind you're like, oh, maybe I can use the coil tap and blah 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 for playing some funky stuff and then just going directly to that full humbucker, you can't do that, okay? If it's tap, it's tap. If it's full humbucker, it's full humbucker, even, with the pure switch on. What else? Yeah, crunchy tones. Okay, neck pickup. Okay, warm type of tone, and then the lead tone. Woo! Okay, this guitar feels good, and I can totally justify the increased amount of money you would spend, because it feels just a little bit more premium, and I like these pickups better. Also, look-wise, I think it's even nicer than the standard Les Paul Studio. Also, the Les Paul Studio, the normal one, it's super nice, but probably I would spend the extra little bit of money to get, these pickups and the aesthetic of these ones, as well as the, the heel joint here that is a little bit more comfortable for me. It's definitely it feels more like a modern guitar. Okay, it's not at all a classic vintage inspired guitar. It's not, has nothing to do with my 58 Les Paul, the ratio, of course, that I have, or anything like that. But it's like, I don't know, for example, to me it feels like the American Professional of Gibson, as Fender is doing. And they're pretty much in the same price range. So that's what my mind is. Like, it's a Les Paul, a more modern Les Paul, like your everyday Les Paul. If you have to record stuff, it's kind of a versatile guitar. And I really like this guitar. For me, it's like thumbs up. And also I re-recorded one of my mini song that goes like this. And this song is like one of my mini lessons available on my Patreon. It's called Power-Chords. I made a video last week about that if you want to check it out. And you know, in this mini lesson I'm going through how to make subtractive power chords, you know, like in a more AC/DC type of style. And I'm also discussing songwriting tips and stuff like that. So if you want to check out, you'll find my Patreon down below. Anyway, as I mentioned before, I wanted also to make a little bit more of a clinical type of comparison, like pickups and stuff. So my previous myself with another haircut is going to show you that comparison, and I'll come back later in a minute. Okay guys, so we have the three guitars here. Les Paul Studio with the Bassbacker Pro. Modern Studio with the 490-8T. And the Studio Session with the 57 Plus. Sorry. Okay, listen back to this part. Big difference, right? And then again. So the Les Paul Studio Session is closer, so like the 57 Classic are closer to the Bassbacker Pro. The Bassbacker Pro are a little bit more, they have a little bit more of high end. I prefer the 57 Classic, while the 490T are definitely more mid-rangey, and you know, they have less presence in the top end. So in the clean tone, my favorite one is the Les Paul Studio Session. That's my preference. Let me know what's yours. And let's hear also the clean neck humbucker. Modern Studio. Sorry. And then the Studio Session. Okay, let's focus on this part. Sorry. It's less noticeable here. Also, I'm not a robot, so I can't play the same performance all the time. But again, maybe the 490R, it's a little bit less trebly, and while the Bassbacker Pro, it's still maybe the king of high frequencies. But to me, they sound pretty much the same. So, as always, tone, it's not just about pickup, and it's not that important to me, because it's what the guitar feels to you while you're playing it that matters the most to me. I'd rather pick the 57 Classic, because they are in the Studio Session. Maybe this is the guitar that I like the better. But you know, I think you can't just choose the guitar just purely based on tones, because you know, it's not night and day. Okay, so as you could probably hear, the sounds are not completely the same, and I think that the Les Paul Studio and the Studio Session are more alike, while the modern Studio with those pickups are a little bit more warmer and, you know, more mid-rangey. But again, it's difficult to justify the choice for me of a guitar just based on guitar tones, because actually, if you just, you know, if you want to have a more mid-range type of tone, you can turn up the mid-range of your amp and stuff like that. So there's a million ways to achieve the tone that you need, but the feel thing is completely different. So while I'm playing these three guitars, I'm feeling like they have three different personalities. So the Studio Session feels like an upgraded version of the normal Studio, that again, it's fine if you are in on a tighter budget. Don't worry about that, you know. It's a fine guitar. I think you will be happy, okay, with that guitar. But if you want to have a little bit more of a premium experience, the Studio Session, to me, you know, it's a nice choice. The modern Studio, it has a little bit, you know, some flaws here and there, but it feels like a warm guitar and more like your, you know, your old guitar, that your favorite guitar that you always had, you know, that it has less of that new guitar feel, okay, to it. So just be aware of that. And if you have any questions about these three guitars, please drop me a comment down below, and I'll try to help you out and answering any question that you would have, if I'm capable of. And that's pretty much it for today, guys. Please subscribe to my channel and leave a like to help me out, you know, with the YouTube algorithm, that it's kind of, you know, weird lately. So it'll be really appreciated, and I hope you enjoy this type of video. If so, let me know, and with a comment as well. Of course, you'll find all the links in the description down below if you want to check out the prices and availability for these guitars. And, you know, thanks a lot again, guys, and see you next time. Ciao!